All right, back with another training session today and some commentary. I got some things I want to just build off from the last video and a question I'm going to answer. Start the session, I'm going to do knee jump plus a jump. I'll do that outside with the hurdle out here. Then I'll do some hang snatches, probably just work up to a heavy double, maybe hit it for a few sets. Then I got some Zercher box squats, just some triples there. The last thing I'm going to do today is some rear foot elevated RDLs. Really hot and humid and muggy out today in Grand Forks. Today is Friday, July 26th, maybe? Is it the 26th? It's Friday, late July, hot and muggy. This is like the really humid time in Grand Forks. So it's gonna be pretty hot. Yeah, should be a good day though. Just like I talked about in the last video, I'm not gonna do any sort of warm up. I'm just gonna start jumping. Hopefully I can jump over this hurdle for my first rep. Oh yeah, kind of slow. Yeah. I'll add some load to these jumps today. Yeah, one thing I should do is just hold this microphone. I don't want it to go flying again off my shoulder. Somebody asked me after my last video about warm-ups, like, what do you think about people who actually do need some extra mobility? Like, they do have some sort of restriction mobility-wise, flexibility-wise, where they feel like they do need to actually incorporate some sort of dynamic stretching, some sort of dynamic warm-up prior to their training session. And I'm not going to deny that some people do lack flexibility and mobility. I'm not going to deny that. And I'm not going to deny that doing something like world's greatest stretch, you guys know that one stretch, I think it's called world's greatest stretch. You like get into a lunge, take your elbow, place your elbow down, put both hands back on the ground, and then you straighten out your legs and stretch those hamstrings out. I like that stretch. It does open up your hips. It does make your hips feel better. It does loosen up your hamstrings. And I have no problem with the actual dynamic stretching themselves. I just think you're better off doing that stuff outside of training. Like, you only have so much time in the gym. You only have so much time dedicated to training. Get as much quality training as you can within that time frame. If you need to do some of that extra dynamic stretching, go ahead and do that. Like when you're just watching TV at home, it's probably going to be more productive for you anyway. Like I said, even if you do some of that dynamic stretching prior to training, you still have to do your warm-up sets anyways. You still have to do some warm-up jumps after that. You still have to do some warm-up sprints after that. You still have to put 135 in the bar and do a few warm-up sets of a back squat after that. So like, you're probably better off doing that dynamic stretching type stuff like 90-90 hip flips, world's greatest stretch, scorpion stretch. You're probably better off doing that stuff when you're cold and you're away from the gym. It's probably actually gonna be more productive for you when you're doing it at that time than like prior to training. Oh, easy. There we go. Oh. Ah! Wow, that was dog shit. I go 2 jumps. Get up on the feet, go from knees to feet, jump over sideways, jump back sideways. Oh. Woo! There we go. Start some overhead squats. There we go. Muscle snatch. Hang power. Hang. It's so muggy like this. You get in this cycle of drying off your hands, applying chalk, and then the chalk gets all sweaty. And when you have sweaty chalk, it just turns into, yeah, sweaty chalk. So you dry your hands off, apply chalk, but then the chalk, it's like left and sticks to the bar, but not in a good way. And it just doesn't make for a good grip on the bar. And I need to take better care of this bar. This is an old Penley bar. I've applied so much chalk to it over the years. Me, clients that I've used, or clients that I've worked with, have just applied so much chalk to it, and then I do a shitty job of scraping it off with my little brush. I forget to do it. I get lazy about it. And you can see there's like permanent chalk marks on there. Yeah, I gotta be better about that. Ooh. Power. Don't be lazy. There we go. I think I'll probably just stay at 100, do some doubles here. But sort of to build off the video I did a couple days ago where I was sprinting at the soccer field talking about things that irk me. And I definitely don't encourage people to go down this line of thinking about all of the things that bother them. It just leads to negativity. You suck other people into your negativity. It creates this whirlwind of negativity. Misery loves company, that slogan. I see a lot is in the online world, and I'll give examples here, like John Davis. If you follow John Davis on Twitter, I guess on Instagram too, you see him comment on people's stuff. It's like, these are people that will say something along the lines of how important it is to have contentious debates, how important it is to actually challenge each other's opinions, but then they'll just circle jerk each other on their opinions, and they'll white knight for each other when someone does try to refute one of their friends' positions. One example of this is today, Fred Duncan made an Instagram post, like an anti-Olympic lifting post, which is fine, I don't really care. But I was going through the comments, and then another guy made a comment refuting what Fred Duncan's post was all about. So Ray Zingler, who I really like, by the way, I don't know if he follows me or not, but he puts out a lot of really good stuff. But he comes into the comment section like white knighting for Fred Duncan. Let people fight their own battles. It's kind of it's a very odd thing to me, and it really does bother me. Yeah, so someone like John Davis, if you follow him on Twitter, he's always posting something along the lines of how, like, the way strength and conditioning needs to advance in the field is by having debates, challenging each other's ideas, things of that nature. But the other problem is that he'll even say within like the same post, I feel like sometimes, that when some people get challenged, they take it as a personal insult. And I'm just like, does that actually exist? Like, if someone were to challenge an idea that I had, I wouldn't take it as a personal insult. That's why I'm always open to like offering someone to come and like record a debate with me. And I do think there's a lot of like fake debates. Like Justin Lima is a perfect example. I'm still waiting for him to post the podcast that I did with him. I messaged him today saying, send me the raw footage, because I just want to put it out on my YouTube channel, because I don't think he's going to post it. But he's a great example of, if you know Dane Miller from Garage Strength, awesome dude. He made a YouTube video like 2 or 3 years ago stating like what he thinks is wrong with college strength and conditioning, and I think he made a lot of really valid points in the video. But anyways, Justin Lima made a reaction video to it. I'll put the thumbnail of it in this video too, so you can see which video it is. But he made a reaction video to Dane's video talking about college strength and conditioning, essentially saying that he's willing to do a debate and he wanted to challenge Dane's opinion on it. And then he did have Dane on, but he was like super pleasant, super polite to Dane. I'm not saying you shouldn't be polite, but there was absolutely zero contention offered by Justin Lima. Before bringing Dane on, he framed it as if he wanted to do a contentious debate and actually challenge his opinions. But then when he brought Dane on, it was all soft, fake debate, wasn't actually contentious, all softball, like, I'm just here to try to understand your opinion. And I think that's actually what holds the field back. And I'm not even super concerned about moving the field forward, but that kind of shit holds the field back when there actually isn't true challenging of ideas. And the stuff with Olympic lifting is that all of the anti-Olympic lifting people will talk about how they're challenging the status quo by not being Olympic lifting. And it's like, no, being anti-Olympic lifting in modern strength and conditioning is the status quo. That is the mainstream position. I'm the outlier among college strength conditioning by being a proponent of Olympic lifting. Like most of these people are fucking frauds, honestly. I can come up with a lot of examples. Maybe I will. But at the same time, I have to like go on Twitter and actually like be reminded of them, and go on Instagram and be reminded of these examples. Cody Hughes even made that point, I think, when I had my discussion with him, is that like people in the strength and conditioning field actually don't debate. They just seek to understand because they don't want to have a contentious conversation. And he's absolutely right on that. And I'm open to having polite conversations too. I don't have to debate people. I would like to. That's why I've offered so many people to debate. I think it's good for the two people debating, and it's also good for an audience to actually, for people who are debating, because the point of a debate is to represent a point of view and represent that point of view to the best of your ability. And if you can't do that with any sort of competence or confidence, then, and if you're unwilling to attempt to do that with someone who's on an opposing view of yours, then really you should reconsider your position. All right, ready for these Zercher box squats. 475 on the bar. Gonna do a triple here. Last thing, I swear this is the last thing that I'm going to talk about things that irk me in strength and conditioning. I promise. Last thing. I guess this doesn't even irk me, but like, I think one thing that I find really odd and bizarre is when people pretend to be interested in something that they're not interested in. When people pretend to be interested in something that is not interesting. I can list 3 really good examples. So like back in 2020, 2021, if you remember Stephen Jones, he was like the cricket guy, cricket strength and conditioning coach. Probably a really good dude, really smart dude. I got nothing against him. He probably provides a lot of really good information, but like, there's so many podcasts that brought him on to talk about cricket, and I think it's called bowling, like pitching in cricket. I think that's called bowling. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about, honestly, because that's how disinterested I am in the sport. But he's a strength coach for like cricket players, I think, and he was talking about bowling and how to improve the performance of bowling, and he was really big into like overcoming isometrics. He was really big into, I don't want to mischaracterize him, I think like fascial training. He was really big into that kind of stuff in the context of improving bowling performance for the sport of cricket. And so many different podcasts had him on. And at the time I was like, I tried to get into it, I tried to listen to it, but it was so disinteresting to me. And I feel like there's a lot of people who had him on, who just had him on because they wanted to pretend like they were interested in what he's saying. And I find that really odd and bizarre. I'm really good friends with Jake Tura. Jake Tura comes up to Grand Forks over Memorial weekend. He's come up the last 3 years. And dude, when he talks about tendons and he gets deep into tendons, I find that shit so boring. I think I've told him that before. I think when he came up this past Memorial Day, I was like, I think I said I don't give a fuck about any of that stuff. But so many people like bring him on podcasts and talk about tendons with him, and like he knows so much about tendons. He can get really deep into the weeds about tendons. And when I try to listen to him, I just check out. I just find it really fascinating how some people will like bring Jake on and pretend to be interested. I just don't believe that many people are that interested in tendons. And Jake is a really smart dude, provides a lot of really good information. David Gray's the same way. Like I've tried to get into what David Gray talks about with like knee rehab, Achilles rehab, all that stuff. But none of that shit is interesting, and I just don't believe that many people find it all that interesting. A lot of people probably find the information useful and helpful, and they learn a lot from it, but there's no way as many people find it interesting as people pretend they do. So that's just the last thing about like things that I find odd and bizarre and maybe a little bit irk me in strength and conditioning. I gotta face the rack today because I don't want to unrack, step over, and do my squats here. So I gotta face the rack today. All right, last thing of the day, some rear foot elevated RDLs. Do you have any opinions on triphasic training? I do have some opinions on triphasic. I think the training program itself is like, it's good training, it's decent training. I just think there's a lot of errors and inconsistencies in the logic behind it, like the rationale behind it. But like when you look at the programming that Cal has, I think a lot of it's pretty good. I'm just not a huge fan of the French contrast. I reject his idea that 85% of 1 rep max for a 6-second eccentric truly trains the eccentric force producing capabilities of the muscle to the fullest extent. There's just some things that I disagree with on a fundamental level, but the training program itself is pretty good. I know a lot of people have had success with it. I've ran a cycle of triphasic training myself, and I felt really good for the first probably 8 weeks. I think I did a 13-week cycle of it. I felt really good at first, and then when you get to the latter half, or the latter portion of the programming, I think it kind of falls apart in some of the logic behind it. But yeah, I mean, if you want to do a triphasic block, go ahead and do it. See how it works for you. I got nothing against it. Do you have any interest in ever competing in a weightlifting meet? I do. The problem with that is that I just do so much shit. I play basketball. I Olympic lift. I do a lot of sprinting, a lot of jumping. I just do a lot of things. I play pickleball, tennis. I just do so much. I just do so much shit that it's really hard for me to like dedicate training specifically to improve my clean and jerk and my snatch, and then actually go compete in a meet. And the other thing about it too is like, I think it'd be really fun to go do, and I have no experience in powerlifting, CrossFit, weightlifting meet, nothing like that. But from what I've gathered is that there's a lot of sitting around and you're there like all day. And to me, I just don't want to go sit around for 3 to 4 hours to go do 6 attempts of a snatch and a clean and jerk, especially if you're going to go do an attempt, sit for 20 minutes, go do another attempt, sit, go do another attempt. I just don't want to do that, but maybe at some point I will. By the way, if you like this shirt that I'm wearing, you can get it on my Bonfire store. It just says the Haas Co. up here, like the Haas company. And then it's got my new logo on the back. Just go to my Bonfire, it's on my Instagram. Pretty easy to find, so I'd appreciate the support. That's all I got today, guys. I appreciate you watching the video. I'll see you next time.